Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Chapter 4. Shri Shuka Uvacha Ataha Tamutpatyaivaabhivyajyamana Bhagavalakshanam Samyopashamavai Ragyaishwaryamaha Vibhuti Biranudhina Medha Mananubhavam Prakrutayah Praja Brahmana Devatascha Nitala Samavanayatitaram Jagruduhu. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, as soon as the Lord was born as the son of Maharaja Nabi, he manifested symptoms of Supreme Lord, such as marks on the bottoms of his feet, the flag, thunderbolt, etc. This son was equal to everyone and very peaceful. He could control his senses and his mind, and possessing all opulence. He did not hanker for material enjoyment. Endowed with all these attributes, the son of Maharaja Nabi became more powerful day after day. Due to this, the citizens, learned brahmanas, demigods, and ministers wanted Rishabha to be appointed ruler of the earth. Tasya hava ittam varshmana variyasa bruhachralokena chaujasa balena shriya yashasa virya shauryaabhyam cha pita Rishabha itidam nama chakara. When the son of Maharaja Nabi became visible, he evinced all good qualities described by the great poets, namely a well-built body with all the symptoms of Godhead, prowess, strength, beauty, name, fame, influence, and enthusiasm. When the father Maharaja Nabi saw all these qualities, he thought his son to be the best of human beings or the supreme being. Therefore, he gave him the name Rishabha. Yasya Indra Spardhamano Bhagavan Varshena Vavarsha Tadavadharya Bhagavan Rishabha Devo Yogeshwara Prahasyatma Yoga Mayaya Swavarsha Majanabham Namabhyavarshata. Indra, the king of heaven, who is very materially opulent, became envious of King Rishabhadeva. Consequently, he stopped pouring water on the planet known as Bharatavarsha. At that time, the Supreme Lord Rishabhadeva, the master of all mystic power, understood King Indra's purpose and smiled a little. Then, by his own prowess, through Yogamaya, his internal potency, he profusely poured water upon his own place, which was known as Ajanaba. Nabhistu yatha bilashitam suprajastvamavarudhya tipramoda bharavihvalo gadgadakshaya gira swairam gruhita naraloka sadharma Bhagavantam Purana Purusham Maya Vilasita Matir Vatsa Tateti Sanuraga Mupalalayan Param Nivrutti Mupagataha. Due to getting a perfect son according to his desire, King Nabi was always overwhelmed with transcendental bliss and was very affectionate to his son. It was with ecstasy and faltering voice that he addressed him. My dear son, my darling, this mentality was brought about by Yogamaya, whereby he accepted the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Father, as his own son. Out of his supreme goodwill, the Lord became his son and dealt with everyone as if he were an ordinary human being. Thus, King Nabi began to rise his transcendental son with great affection. Thus, King Nabi began to raise his transcendental son with great affection, and he was overwhelmed with transcendental bliss, joy, and devotion. Viditanu Raghamapaura Janapado Raja Nabiratmajam Samaya Setu Rakshayamabhishicya Brahmane Shupanidhaya Saha Merudevya Vishalayam Prasanna Nipunena Tapasa Samadhi Yogena Nara Narayanakyam Bhagavantam Vasudeva Mupasinaha Kalena Tanmahimana Bhavapa Mahimana Mavapa. King Nabi understood that his son Rishabha was very popular among the citizens and among government officers and ministers. Understanding the popularity of his son, Maharaja Nabi enthroned him as the emperor of the world to give protection to the general populace in terms of Vedic religious system. To do this, he entrusted him into the hands of learned Brahmanas who would guide him in administering the government. Then Maharaja Nabi and his wife Meru Devi went to Badrikashrama in the Himalaya mountains, where the king engaged himself very expertly in austerities and penances with great jubilation. In full samadhi, he worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nara Narayana, who is Krishna in his plenary expansion. By doing so, in course of time, Maharaja Nabi was elevated to the spiritual world known as Vaikuntha. Yasya Pandaveya Shloka Udhaharanti Konu Tatkarma Rajarsher Nabheranvacharet Puman Apatyatamaghadhasya Hari Shuddhena Karmana. O Maharaja Parikshit, to glorify Maharaja Nabi, the old sages composed 2 verses. One of them is this: who can attain the perfection of Maharaja Nabi? Who can attain these activities? Who can attain his activities? Because of his devotional service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead agreed to become his son. Brahmanyona kuto nabher Vipra Mangala Pujitaha Yasya Barhishi Yagnesham Darshayamasu Rojasa. The second prayer is this: who is a better worshipper of Brahmanas than Maharaja Nabi? Because he worshipped the qualified Brahmanas to their full satisfaction, the Brahmanas, by their Brahmanical prowess, showed Maharaja Nabi the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, in person. अतः भगवान् ऋषभदेवः स्ववर्षकर्मक्षेत्रमनुमन्यमानः प्रदर्शित गुरुकुलवासो लब्धवरैर्गुरुभिरग्न्युग् गुरुभिरनुज्ञातो गृहमेदिनां धर्माननुक्षमणो जयन्त्यामिन्द्रदत्तायामुभयलक्षणं कर्म समाम्नायान् मातमयि तुज्जन्नात्मजानामात्म समानानां शन्त janayamasa. After Nabi Maharaja departed for Badrikashrama, the Supreme Lord Rishabha Deva understood that his kingdom was his field of activities. He therefore showed himself as an example and taught the duties of a householder by first accepting brahmacharya under the direction of spiritual masters. He also went to live at the spiritual master's place, Gurukula. After his education was finished, he gave gifts, Guru Dakshina, to his spiritual masters and then accepted the life of a householder. He took a wife named Jayanti and he begot 100 sons who were as powerful and qualified as he himself. His wife Jayanti had been offered to him by Indira, the king of heaven. Rishabhadeva and Jayanti performed householder life in an exemplary way, carrying out ritualistic activities ordained by the Shruti and Smriti Shastra. Yesham kalu mahayogi bharato jeshta shreshta guna aside nedam varsha bharatamiti vyapadishanti. O Rishabhadevas, of Rishabhadeva's 100 sons, the eldest, named Bharata, was a great exalted devotee qualified with best attributes. In his honor, this planet has become known as Bharatavarsha. Tamanu kushavarta ilavarto brahmavarto malayaha keturbhadrasane Indrasprugvidarbha Kirita iti navati pradhanaha. Following Bharata, there were 99 other sons. Among these were 9 elderly sons named Kushavarta, Ilavarta, Brahmavarta, Malaya, Ketu, Bhadrasena, Indraspruk, Vidarbha and Kikata. Kavirhavirantarikshah prabruddha pippalayanah avirhotrota drumilaschamasa karabhajanah iti bhagavata dharma darshana nava mahabhagavatastesham sucharitam bhagavan mahimopabrumhitam vasudeva narada samvada mupasha mayana uparishtadvarna yishyamaha. In addition to these sons were Kavi, Havi, Antariksha, Prabuddha, Pippalayana, Avirhotra, Drumila, Chamasa and Karabhanjana. These were all very exalted, advanced devotees and authorized preachers of Shrimad Bhaghavatam. These devotees were glorified due to their strong devotion to Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they were exalted. To satisfy the mind perfectly, I, Sukadeva Goswami, shall hereafter describe the characteristics of the 9 devotees when I discuss the conversations between Narada and Vasudeva. यवीयासं एकाशीतिर्जायन्ते याः पितुरादेशकरा महाशालिना महाश्रोत्रिया यज्ञशीलाः कर्मविशुद्धा ब्राह्मणा बभूवुः. In addition to these 19 sons mentioned above, there were 81 younger ones, all born of Rishabhadeva and Jayanti. According to the order of their father, they became well cultured, well behaved, well pure in their activities, and expert in Vedic knowledge and the performance of Vedic rituals. Thus, they all became perfectly qualified Brahmanas. Bhagavan Rishabha Samgya Atma Tantra Swayam Nitya Nivrittanartha Parasparaha Kevala Nandhanubhava Ishvara Eva Viparita Vatkarmanyara Bhamanaha Kale Nanugatam Dharmamachara Nenopa Kshikshayan Tadvidham Sama Upashanto Maitra Karuniko Dharmartha Yashaf Prajanandamrutavarodhena Gruheshu Lokam Niyamayat. Being an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Rishabhadeva was fully independent because his form was spiritual, eternal, and full of transcendental bliss. He eternally had nothing to do with the four principles of the material misery: birth, death, old age, and disease. Nor was he materially attached. He was always equipoised and he saw everyone on the same level. He was unhappy to see others unhappy, and he was a well-wisher of all living entities. Although he was a perfect personality, the Supreme Lord, the controller of all, he nonetheless acted as if he were an ordinary conditioned soul. Therefore, he strictly followed the principles of Varnashrama Dharma and acted accordingly. In due course of time, the principles of Varnashrama Dharma had become neglected. Therefore, through his personal characteristics and behavior, he taught the ignorant public how to perform duties within the Varnashrama Dharma. In this way, he regulated the general populace in the householder life, enabling them to develop religion and economic well-being and to attain reputations, sons and daughters, material pleasure, and finally eternal life. By his instructions, he showed how people could remain householders and at the same time become perfect by following the principles of Varnashrama Dharma. Yadhyarchirshanyacharitam tattadanuvartate lokaha. Whatever action is performed by a great man, common men follow. Yadhyapi swavidhitam sakaladharmam brahmyam guhyam brahmanair darshita margena samadhi bhirupayair janata manushashasa. Although Lord Rishabhadeva knew everything about confidential Vedic knowledge, which includes information about all types of occupational duties, he still maintained himself as a Kshatriya and followed the instructions of the Brahmanas as related to mind control, self-control, tolerance, and so forth. Thus, he ruled the people according to the system of Varnashrama Dharma, which enjoins that the Brahmanas instruct the Kshatriyas and the Kshatriyas administer to the state through the Vaishyas and Sudras. Dravya Desha Kala Vayaha Shraddhartvigvividyo Deshopachitaihi Sarvairapi Kratubhir Yatopadesham Shatakrutva Iyaja. Lord Rishabhadeva performed all kinds of sacrifices, 100 times according to the instruction of the Vedic literatures. Thus he satisfied Lord Vishnu in every respect. All the rituals were enriched by the first class ingredients. They were executed in holy places according to the proper time by the priests who were all young and faithful. In this way, Lord Vishnu was worshipped and the prasada was offered to all the demigods. Thus, the functions and festivals were all successful. Bhagavatar Bhag भगवतर्षभेण परिरक्ष्यमाणा एतस्मिन् वर्षेण कश्चन पुरुषो वाञ्छत्य विद्यमानभिवात्मनोऽन्यस्मात्मकथञ्चन किमपि कर्हि चिदवेक्षते भर्तर्यनुसवनम् विजृम्भितस्नेहातिशयमन्तरेण. No one likes to possess anything that is like a will-o'-the-wisp or a flower in the sky, for everyone knows very well that such things do not exist. When Lord Rishabhadeva ruled this planet of Bharatavarsha, every common man did not want to ask for anything at any time or by any means. No one ever asked for a will-o'-the-wisp. In other words, everyone was completely satisfied. Therefore, there was no chance of anyone's asking for anything. The people were absorbed in great affection for the king. Since this affection was always expanding, they were not inclined to ask for anything. Sakadachidatmano Bhagavan Rishabho Brahmavartagato Brahmarshi Pravara Sabhayam Prajanam Nishamayanti Natmajana Vahitatmanaha Prakshaya Pranaya Bharaturyantrita Yantritanapyupashikshya Yenniti Hovacha Pakshikshayanniti Hovacha. Once, while touring the world, Lord Rishabhadeva, the Supreme Lord, reached a place known as Brahmavarta. There was a great conference of learned Brahmanas at that place, and all the king's sons attentively heard the instructions of the Brahmanas there. At that assembly, within the hearing of the citizens, Rishabhadeva instructed his sons, along with although they were already very well behaved, devoted, and qualified, he instructed them so that in the future they could rule the world very perfectly. Thus he spoke as follows. This ends the chapter entitled The Characteristics of Rishabhadeva. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare